Hi guys, JT here, and today we're bringing you some information on 10 games in Fanatical's Diamond Collection Brutal Edition of July 2023, to help you in picking your 5 games. By using the link provided in the description below, not only will you gain access to this bundle, but you also have the opportunity to support this channel. Your support will mean the world to me, and I genuinely appreciate it. Anyway, let's get into this. At number 1 we have Wolfenstein 2, The New Colossus, an exceptional first-person shooter game that challenges you to fight against the Nazi oppression. The game's greatest asset is its diverse and interesting cast of characters, which adds depth to the overall story. The heroes are flawed, yet strong, and their presence is felt throughout the game, making it more than just a shooter game. The game's environments are impressive and provide variety, but the game is still a corridor shooter. While the shooting mechanics are top-notch, the game can be unforgiving, and sneaking around is difficult. Wolfenstein 2 The New Colossus provides multiple ways to tackle the levels, including using contraptions, multiple weapons, stealth, and melee attacks, which can become repetitive. The game's storyline is a juggling act between humor, horror, and tragedy, and it does so masterfully. Despite its occasional flaws, the game is grotesque, cathartic, beautiful, and shocking, and it is an excellent addition to the Wolfenstein franchise. This game is highly recommended for those looking for a shooter game that is more than just shooting, or if you just want to murder and blow some Nazis up. At number 2 we have Doom Eternal, an FPS game that will have you shoot demons in the head and literally slice their skulls in front of your eyes in fast-paced action. Earth has been invaded by Hell's armies. Demons and monsters have destroyed much of Earth's cities and skyscrapers. You play as the Doom Slayer, and you need to fight and smash your way through demons across dimensions to stop the destruction of humanity. Compared to the 2016 game, Eternal is much bigger, faster, with plenty more story and lore. Even though Doom is not really known for its story, this entry brings the narrative to a whole new level. Gameplay-wise, Eternal is much faster and smoother. There's a lot of satisfaction in shooting your enemies with your arsenal weapons and watch as their bodies fall apart in front of you with every shot, before you go in for a glory kill and slice their heads off. There's more strategic thinking this time around instead of just mindlessly shooting and killing things. Some enemies will now have weak points that you need to destroy to make your life easier, like aiming for a turret on an enemy's head or blowing up a Mancubus's arm cannon before murdering them. Your arsenal has also been expanded with shoulder-mounted weapons like a flamethrower or a modifiable grenade launcher. Platforming is more of a focus this time around, with increased movement abilities like a shotgun that has a grappling hook on it, double jumping, directional dash, and climbing up tall structures. Exploration is highly rewarding, as you'll most likely find precious items that you can use to buy mods for your weapons, suit, and passive abilities, or even find various collectibles. Eternal ramps up the RPG elements of the Doom franchise by allowing for such explorations and upgrades. This game also features a central hub known as Fortress of Doom that is a bit like a man cave, where you can look at collectibles you've found, practicing murdering demons, or jumping into your next mission. Multiplayer is also really fun this time around, with a battle mode where 2 players play unique demons going up against another player, playing as a juiced-up Doom guy. Doom Eternal is very fun and challenging, as you jump and zip around the level, finding various secrets, and crushing demon skulls in high-speed action. At number 3 we have Kingdom of the Dead, a spooky and stylish arena shooter by Dorigo Games, drawing inspiration from classics like Doom and Evil Dead. The game's unique hand-drawn visuals evoke nostalgia for 90s shooters while feeling modern and polished. As Agent Chamberlain, part of the secret organization Gatekeeper, players face hordes of undead enemies and powerful bosses armed with an array of weapons. The gameplay loop is simple and satisfying, involving fast movement, shooting enemies, collecting weapons and ammo, and tackling boss fights. However, the simplicity may lead to repetitiveness for some players after a few missions. While the game has a variety of levels and secondary objectives, they don't significantly alter the core gameplay. The game's distinct art style sets a moody atmosphere, but can also hinder visibility, making it challenging to spot enemies and navigate the environment. Players have some options to improve visibility, but the intricate detailing may still be problematic for those with limited sight. Overall, Kingdom of the Dead is a love letter to arena shooters and horror games, standing out with its unique style and soundtrack. It offers an enjoyable demon hunting experience, but its simplicity might not appeal to everyone. Nonetheless, it's worth exploring for fans of classic shooters and horror enthusiasts alike. At number 4 we have Maneater, an exuberant yet flawed game where you assume the role of a violent shark. The simulation offers a thrilling experience of acrobatic maneuvers and gruesome kills. The environment design, especially the underwater landscapes and lighting effects, is commendable. However, the open world map system can be irritating to navigate. The game's length is stretched with repetitive side quests. Combat against humans, particularly the bounty hunters, provides enjoyable moments, but encounters with wildlife, like alligators, can be frustrating. The evolution system, though fun, misuses the term evolution, which is a minor gripe. The game's portrayal of sharks is muddled, attempting to balance humor and education, but failing to deliver a coherent message. While the writing is well executed, the game's lack of clarity on sensitive subjects diminishes its appeal. Maneater struggles to maintain its initial excitement, and its open-world format adds unnecessary padding. The game's central toolkit for fish-themed genocide might keep some players engrossed, but it fails to sustain long-term engagement. With repetitive missions and shallow gameplay variety, Maneater feels like a missed opportunity. It needed a tighter, more focused experience to match its initial thrilling premise. Despite its moments of brilliance, the game ultimately falls short and fails to leave a lasting impression. If you're seeking a gory, mindless diversion as a shark, it might entertain you briefly, but don't expect a deeply satisfying gaming experience. And number 5 we have Mortal Shell, a dark and atmospheric action RPG that takes inspiration from the notoriously difficult Dark Souls series. While the game has similarities to its inspiration, it also offers some unique features that set it apart from the popular franchise. You take on the role of a nameless character, navigating a bleak and foreboding fantasy world. Of course, it's a Souls-like game. Combat is challenging, with enemies that can deal significant damage to your health and stamina bars. With few checkpoints, the game can be anxiety-inducing, but discovering one is incredibly satisfying. One of the standout features of Mortal Shell is its shell upgrade system. You can inhabit 4 different shells of armor, each of their unique traits. The upgrade system allows you to unlock a shell's full potential by discovering more about its original owner. However, each shell is suited to a certain playstyle, which can limit your ability to adopt different fighting styles. The combat system in Mortal Shell has a satisfying heft to it, and you can use a useful hardening ability to make yourself briefly invincible. The hardening ability can be used during any swing, and can help you overcome tough enemies. However, the dodging system can feel slow and challenging to use effectively, which can be frustrating for some players. While Mortal Shell has its unique features, it also has some flaws. The game's limited checkpoint system and challenging combat may not be suitable for all players. Additionally, the shell upgrade system can limit your freedom in adopting different playstyles. Despite these flaws, Mortal Shell is a worthwhile experience for fans of the Dark Souls series, or players looking for a challenging and atmospheric action RPG. And number 6 we have Aeterna Noctis, a Metroidvania-style platformer with a sprawling and varied world, challenging platforming challenges, and beautiful art direction. In Aeterna Noctis, you play as the King of Darkness, who has lost most of his power and memories after his defeat to the Queen of Light. Your objective is to recover the 7 fragments of the Shrine of the Kings, to help the king regain his abilities and ascend to the heavens once again. While the game does not focus on the plot, the various side quests that you undertake have separate plot threads attached to them. The game is challenging, and it throws tricky pixel-perfect platforming challenges with few checkpoints early on, which increases in complexity as you unlock new abilities. The boss fights are also tough, and they tend to have the Dark Souls quality of feeling insurmountable until you learn their attack patterns. The experience system is not very user-friendly, as you don't keep any experience you lose while in a Souls-less state. However, the game provides multiple options to improve your chances in combat, including upgradable perks, equipable gems, and new abilities that you unlock throughout the game. The game takes steps to provide a sense of guidance to the player, without compromising the thrill of exploration. While side quest locations don't show up on your map, the general location of the next shrine fragment does. However, the game is less accommodating about making it clear if you have the right ability to proceed and whether you have missed something important. Overall, Aeterna Noctis is a beautiful and challenging game that is perfect for fans of games like Hollow Knight and the 2D Castlevania entries. And number 7, Game 1, we have Wolfenstein: The New Order, an action-adventure first-person game set in an alternate history timeline. Set in the 1960s, the Nazis have won World War II with their superior technology, and most of Europe has been put under their control. You play as BJ Blazkowicz, a badass American soldier who was admitted to a psychiatric asylum after a mission gone wrong, where you remain in a catatonic state. The asylum has been ordered to shut down by the Nazis, and after witnessing some atrocities on the people there, BJ awakens and he goes on a rampage to destroy the Nazi war machine and his nemesis, Wilhelm Strauss, aka Death's Head. The story is actually pretty good, and it basically provides you a reason to shoot Nazis with varying mission objectives to keep things fresh. The alternate history storyline is really interesting, and being a badass bringing down the Nazis feels great. Characters that you meet along the way are also relatable, as they are just regular people oppressed by the regime wanting liberation. You can use a variety of weapons to kill these Nazis, and these range from handguns, assault rifles, shotguns, all the way to more interesting weapons like Tesla grenades and a laser cutter. There are also some sections where you get to pilot mechs to destroy a Nazi encampment, and that is really fun. sitting in a seat of a mech, leveling everything around you. This game is great if you want to feel like a badass action hero in a film, murdering Nazis and bringing down their operations. At number 7, Game 2, we have Wolfenstein, The Old Blood, an alternate history FPS game which serves as a prequel to The New Order. The Old Blood is broken into 2 episodes, which totals to approximately 8 hours long. You once again take on the role of BJ Blazkowicz from The New Order, except it is your past self. In the first episode, you return to Castle Wolfenstein as you attempt to obtain a document that sets up the events of the New Order. It doesn't go as planned and you need to return to your Nazi murdering ways. You'll encounter new enemy variants like a sniper, some puzzle-like encounters, and a good mix of stealth and action scenes. While most things will feel quite familiar to the New Order, the labyrinth tunnels of the castle makes it feel different from the more open areas of the New Order. The second episode is a lot more interesting because it involves zombies now, and it is completely different from the New Order. There are a few really tense scenes, and the mystery of Helga and her adventures to uncover occult objects will keep you engaged. You have access to new weapons, like a melee pipe and an explosive count pistol. Existing guns have also been refined, making everything feel more viable. The perk system is still attached to challenges like stealth takedowns and weapon-specific kills. Old Blood has great pacing between stealth and action, and doesn't waste time in telling side stories. However, the villains of the Old Blood is not as compelling as Death's Head, and characters are not as developed as the New Order. If you like the New Order, you'll also like the Old Blood. It's practically more of the same, but pepper is some new guns to play with and new enemy types to murder. At number 8, we have Pumpkin Jack, a remarkable 3D platformer that captures the essence of the classic PS1 and PS2 games like Medieval and Spyro. This game stands out with its engaging combat, well-crafted storytelling, and delightful humor. You take control of Jack, a mischievous pumpkin who finds himself in the middle of a war between mindless monsters and humans. As Jack, you unleash your license to kill and embark on a journey filled with action and adventure. The game's writing is a highlight, with clever dialogue and comedic timing that will keep you entertained. The gameplay mechanics excel in both platforming and combat. The platforming is fun, although slightly challenging due to the controller input latency. The combat reminiscent of Medieval is relentless, yet rewarding, with a variety of weapons and special abilities to unlock. Jack is accompanied by a talking crow, who provides range attacks and assists in puzzles, adding a human element to the ghastly situation. Despite its strengths, Pumpkin Jack has a few drawbacks. The game is relatively short, with a playtime of around 2 to 3 hours. The soundtrack occasionally falls short, lacking thematic consistencies in certain parts. Additionally, the on-rail sections of the game feel repetitive and disrupt the overall flow. Despite these flaws, Pumpkin Jack remains a fantastic 3D platformer that successfully captures the charms of its predecessors. Its combat mechanics, storytelling, and unique take on the genre make it a worthwhile experience. While the game's length and certain aspects may be disappointing, the enjoyment derived from every minute of playtime is undeniable. At number 9, we have Metro Exodus, a game that succeeds in its ambition to combine different genres and provide a captivating gameplay experience. The post-apocalyptic game offers crafting-focused survival elements, character-driven story, atmospheric horror, and shooter modes. The game is set a decade after the second game, where players take on the role of Atio, who joins a group in search of a new home and other survivors, traveling aboard the Aurora train. The train serves as a mobile sanctuary, where players can interact with NPCs, complete side missions, craft and replenish supplies, and explore the vast environments. The UI is clean, and the absence of quest givers jumping with neon question marks is a welcome change. Metro Exodus is not an open world game, but the winter, spring, and summer environments are expansive and feel like one. The game offers players the choice to approach missions during the day or at night, with both options providing different experiences. The monsters that come out at night offer a thrilling challenge, and the stealth approach works best when infiltrating a human base. Overall, the game's different elements are knit together into a bizarre and thrilling train journey that is overwhelmingly brilliant. This game is a must-play if you like a great post-apocalyptic game with a great narrative that has a more serious tone than the likes of Fallout. The Gold Edition also further expands the story with Sam's story, continuing the journey further with Sam trying to return to the US, and is worth a playthrough. At number 10, Game 1, we have Dead Island Definitive Edition, a remastered first-person open-world survival action horror game set in a tropical paradise infested with the undead. As you begin the game, you witness the horrifying outbreak of the zombie infection on the island of Banoi, and your goal as one of the immune survivors is to find a way off the island. The game offers a rich loot-driven, quest-based role-playing experience with a strong emphasis on melee combat. You'll interact with non-playable characters who will assign missions ranging from gathering supplies to clearing infected areas. While the interactions with these NPCs can be repetitive, the game's story cutscenes add depth to the characters and progress the plot. Dead Island Definitive Edition provides a variety of zombies to face, from basic walkers to powerful sub-bosses. The combat system, primarily melee focused, offers an extensive array of makeshift weapons that can be upgraded and modified. Exploring the world, you'll find abandoned buildings, luxurious hotels, and other atmospheric locations that enhance the tension and horror of the game. While the main story is somewhat weak and the cutscenes show their age, the remaster fixes many technical issues from the original release. The DLC, including an extra campaign and an arena mode, adds value to the package. With New Game Plus and multiple characters to choose from, there's plenty of replayability. The game also supports cooperative play for up to 4 players. Overall, Dead Island Definitive Edition delivers a visceral and enjoyable zombie slaying experience. Its visuals, atmosphere, and gameplay still hold up, making it a worthwhile choice for both fans of the original and newcomers alike. At number 10, Game 2, we have Dead Island Riptide Definitive Edition, a survival horror game. The game is set on the island of Palanai, which has been overrun by a zombie outbreak, and players must fight to survive and find a way off the island. The game features a number of improvements over the original Dead Island, including updated graphics, new gameplay mechanics, and improved AI for the game's enemies. Players can choose to play as one of the several different characters, each of their own unique abilities and skill trees. One of the game's standout features is its focus on cooperative multiplayer, allowing players to team up with friends to murder hordes of zombies and complete missions together. The game also includes a new hub area, where players can upgrade their weapons and gear between missions. While the game's storyline is fairly straightforward, the real appeal of Dead Island Riptide Definitive Edition lies in its satisfying and visceral combat mechanics. Players can murder zombies using a variety of weapons, from guns and knives to makeshift weapons like pipes and bats. Overall, Dead Island Riptide Definitive Edition is a solid survival horror game with engaging combat mechanics and a focus on cooperative multiplayer. While it may not be a revolutionary game in the genre, it is definitely worth checking out for fans of zombie games or anyone looking for a fun and challenging co-op experience. At number 10, Game 3, we have Dead Island Retro Revenge, a side-scrolling game that combines elements of Temple Run with Dead Island, designed for a specific audience who enjoys simple button-smashing gameplay. To fully enjoy the game, a controller is recommended, as it's optimized for that input method. Though the gameplay is straightforward, it's not necessarily easy. The controls take some time to master, but once you do, you'll find yourself smashing through hordes of zombies. Different types of zombies add variety to the experience, requiring various attack strategies. The game also includes super weapons and magic powers that charge during levels, adding some welcome diversity. However, there are some drawbacks. The levels are quite long, and there are no checkpoints, which means restarting from the beginning after dying. Additionally, the game had issues with menu selection when using a controller, necessitating the use of a mouse for some interactions. Despite these flaws, Dead Island Retro Revenge provides a solid, nostalgic side-scrolling button-smashing experience. If you appreciate 8 and 16-bit graphics, this retro-inspired game will feel like home. It's a fun choice for those who enjoy simple, challenging gameplay and have a controller handy for optimal enjoyment. And that's all for this bundle. This bundle is actually pretty good. As per other Diamond bundles, they are more expensive than other bundles, but if you pick the games right, you'll be walking away with 8 games as opposed to 5. However, a lot of these games are quite old and were previously featured in Humble Monthlies, so you may already have them in your library. In any case, kindly show your support by liking and subscribing to the channel, and I look forward to connecting with you in the upcoming video.